I bet, just from my voice, you'd guess that I'm white. Now look at me. He's black! People tell me all the time that my voice doesn't match how I look, that I sound white. If I'm around other African friends, they ask me why my accent is so strong. Back in school, my friends who weren't black told me that I was the whitest person that they knew. I mean, sure, I wasn't into rap music, and I got good grades in maths and science, aka I was a nerd. And I did wear one of those posh frisbee hats in the summer to stay sun safe. Looking back, I can kinda see where they were coming from. But, now that I'm older, I want to find out exactly how I turned out the way that I did. And if there were any ways for me to avoid it back then. And after a bit of self-reflection, I've come up with 3 reasons why I turned out the way that I did. How I became the whitest black person people knew. The first reason is my accent. Being born and raised in Australia but being ethnically Ethiopian makes every interaction just that much more awkward. Like grocery shopping. If I go up to a cashier, 9 times out of 10, you can tell that they're a bit awkward because they don't know whether you actually understand them. If they say something like, "How's your day been?" they don't expect the conversation to go that long. Unlike when they talk to that white soccer mom that tangents about how her lovely kids are doing great in their weekly soccer team meetups and that these discounted oranges are going to be demolished after their match. To avoid the 2 seconds of awkwardness, I just quickly reply in my thoroughbred Aussie accent, and then still barely talk to them because I don't have that social energy. But frankly, once self-service checkouts became widely accepted, I just avoided talking to cashiers entirely. Modern problems require modern solutions. I said before that when I'm with immigrant friends, they notice my accent a lot more. Since a lot of them were born overseas, they retain different parts of their heritage, like their accents and their language. Maybe they spoke their native language at home, or were just part of a different community when they grew up. I just so happened to be raised in an area where it was majority white. I was the only black person in my class, more times than I could count. Safe to say, this is how I got my accent. Who knew growing around Aussies made you sound like one? As much as I might hate it, this accent has become a part of me, and it would take way too long to grow out of it. So I've just got to be okay with it. Unfortunately, that doesn't really help beating the white-sounding allegations now, does it? The second reason is where I grew up. I went to a public high school in Australia, and for most of them, you're required to wear a buttoned-up uniform with a tie and pants with a belt. However, because of the incredibly hot weather in Australia all year round, the pants are shorts that still have belts. The school shirts would get incredibly muggy in the summer, to the point where our backs would be completely covered in sweat before we even went to our first class. So what does one do to fend off this mild discomfort? Why, of course, you'd untuck your shirt. Everybody here untucks their uniforms. It's practically required if you want street cred. But at one point, our teachers made a huge fuss about how if they caught you untucking your uniform, they would hand out detentions. All the other boys called their bluff out and untucked their shirts anyway. But not me. The idea of walking home to my immigrant parents, telling them I got a detention, frightened me to the point that I never untucked my uniform. I even did up the top button just to be safe. And when it came to hairstyles, it was buzz cuts all year round, and maybe a little mini afro too if I felt lazy. I was more straight-laced than a pair of Jordans in a Nike ad. To look like a model student, my family taught me the discipline to put my clothes in the washing machine and to iron up my uniforms at the start of every week. It was hard work, keeping yourself well put together while also struggling to fit into society as an immigrant. And when people joked that I was acting white, it hurt. It shows that they didn't appreciate the efforts I put in to fit in. It makes me wonder why I even tried in the first place. But the third and final reason why I became the whitest black kid is my own insecurity. I just wanted to be accepted. And all the things I did to fit in just came off as unnatural to the people around me. It's not fun being the only black kid in the room. So I grew up with the constant desire to be part of the group. Spoiler alert, it failed miserably. I was even bullied for a couple of years in middle school. If I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, I'd tell him to have more pride in himself. You're the only person who can be by your side 100% of the time. Who cares what other people say about you? They don't see the hard work you put in every day, and to be fair, they don't even need to, because they've got their own problems that they're dealing with. Heck, they might be calling you white because they think you've got everything put together. In a weird way, it might actually just be a compliment. But I get it. Sometimes they're just clowning on you for the sake of it, and if that happens, say something like this. "Oh look, this dropped food on the ground can feed a starving Ethiopian family for a week." What do you do when you want to find a black guy at night time? Tell them to smile. What do you call a black guy that sounds white? An Oreo. So what if I act white? I was freaking born in this country, grew up around white people. I was the only black kid in my class more times than I could count. Instead of making fun of me and saying I don't match my colour, why don't you take a second to understand that black people aren't just some stereotype you see on TV. We don't just eat KFC and watermelons all day. We don't finish every sentence with the N-word and talk in rap lyrics. Don't just assume that because I'm African my family must be starving in a hut somewhere. Don't throw your own lame prejudices covering your insecurities on me just because I'm the one that's different. Maybe you just don't like seeing a black guy working hard to succeed in life. Maybe you're just a kid making the easy starving African joke. I don't care. You're not funny. It's not original. All you're doing is poking fun at stereotypes that already exist without actually being funny. Just some random kid saying something racist is not comedy. I've probably taken this topic too seriously, haven't I? What you really need to do when you're in school is get good grades and also make some time to find your passion. Don't just study to get into uni before realizing you're 21 and don't like the degree you chose at 17. Don't do what I did. Be better. Moral of the story? Just be yourself. I know, super cheesy, but there's a twist. Be aggressively yourself. Basically, if people clown on you for an insecurity, double down. They say you act white, start singing Wonderwall. Turn that insecurity into a set of armor. You can't call me white, I can say the N-word and you can't. To be fair, white boys said the N-word all the time when I was in school. I really shouldn't have let that one happen, but there weren't really that many black people in the vicinity to defend me. And I'm not the strongest kid, unfortunately, so I wouldn't have been able to win in a fight. But never, never would I ever go to the teachers, because I ain't a snitch. Oh, not to mention the Indians, damn it. Just because you're brown doesn't mean you get the N-word pass. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry, buddies. You don't get the same N-word privileges, sadly. I say all these things assuming people are still listening. But I haven't uploaded to this account in like 7 months. I just wanted this to be a fun story timey type video, but it turned into something a bit weirder. Fingers crossed my story helped someone out there in the big wide world. If it does, please like and subscribe. I know, ew, cringe, ignore this guy, lame YouTube shill. But that's the only real way I know that my stuff's worth anything. I don't know how to end this. Watch this video if it interests you. I don't know what it is. The algorithm's probably gonna pick it for you. I hope it's nice. I make some nice videos. I'm pretty proud of some of the stuff I've done.